Hey, Ross here with Trucut CNC. In this video, we'll get a little more complex with some nesting and some toolpath creation. So I drew this kind of odd-looking shape here. We have inside contours here. We have some holes here. Also insides, we have an outside contour. So the first thing we want to do really is check our start points before we do any nesting. Because if the start points are wrong, we have to delete everything, fix it, and then re-nest. So let's do that before we nest. So we're going to hit the N, and that gets us into node edit mode. You can also come over here and use these buttons to go into select, node edit, and transform mode. So we're in node edit mode. We're going to select, no we're not. So hit the N. Now we're in node edit mode. So, okay, there's our start point. So for the tangent type lead we want to use, we want it to be on an outer point. Okay, so we're going to change that lead to there. And on circles, it really doesn't matter where the lead point is. Could change it if you want to, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so that looks good. We can go back to select mode. And now we can do our nesting. So let's select that. Go to nesting. Let's say 28 pieces. Hit apply, hit preview. This should be on our outside layer. And it is. This should be an inside layer. This should be an inside. It is. Okay, good. So let's get out of that, and we'll come over here to toolpath. We'll create a profile toolpath. Okay, we'll select a 10 gauge tool. Spindle speed, we're going to leave it at 100 for now, but we'll come back in and change that. Okay, our first contour is going to be the small holes, so we're going to do an inside contour, and our lead is going to be a straight lead at 90 degrees at 0.15. And we'll call that holes. Use the selector to select the holes layer. Okay, good. You can see them selected there. Hit close and calculate. Make sure we did it right. It looks pretty good. Hit close. Okay, profile toolpath again. We're going to do another inside contour on the large hole and the medium-sized hole. It's going to be an inside, same tool. The lead this time is going to be a circular lead, like that. You can play with these numbers and see the different effects you get by making this one bigger, this one smaller, this one smaller, this one bigger. Let's rename this inside. You don't have to rename these if you don't want to. I just find it easier to straighten out errors if there are any. And then we hit the selector, and we want to select the inside. Okay, you can see in the background that it did. We hit calculate. So we zoom in, we can see that our toolpath is done on the inside layer. Hit close. Now we have one more to do. Okay, same tool. This one's going to be an outside offset, and we're going to choose a straight lead at 0 degrees. We'll call this one outside. And use the selector again. Select the outside and hit calculate. Okay, so we had a little error there, and that's probably because our lead is exactly like we want it, except there's probably a little interference right there. So if we made the lead shorter, yep, that's what I thought. We make the lead a little bit shorter, we get rid of that interference, although it wouldn't have been a problem because the software made the lead a little bit shorter anyway, just to avoid that intersection clearance problem. So that's good. That looks like a good part. So we're going to hit close now. Oh, one more thing we almost forgot. Uh, we want to slow the speed down for the holes. Okay, we don't want to cut those small holes at full speed. What we're going to do is we're going to close this. We're going to go back to the holes layer. Now you could do this when you first create it, or you could come back to it. I usually like to come back to it. That way if I have any other layers I need to change the speed on, I can do it all at the same time. So we're going to hit the holes layer. We're going to say edit. And we're going to go back to the tool, but this time we're not going to select. We're just going to hit edit. We're going to change that spindle speed to 30. That's going to make the feed rate on the plasma run at 30% of the speed that's set on the machine just for these holes. Okay, and we hit calculate. Good, now we come back. Okay, so we're done. So now we need to save the toolpath. So we have a problem here. So if we were to save this toolpath, let's switch to 3D view. What's going to happen is it's going to cut all the holes. Then it'll come back and cut all the insides. And then it'll come back and cut the outsides. Okay, we don't want that. We want it to cut one part completely, then go to the next part, then go to the next part. Okay, so that's not a problem. So to do that, there's a function for that, and that's this function right here, create a merged toolpath. So we're going to go ahead and hit that. In order for this to work, you have to be using the same tool. We have tool number 25 for each layer. That has to be, if you use a different tool, this won't work. So there's some ordering, and we're going to actually order it by part. So we're going to merge by part. That's going to say take all of these details on this one part, merge them into one part, and we'll see what that looks like. So let's name this star 1. We're going to say merge toolpaths. Okay, so now if we uncheck all these, we can see that so we're going to go ahead and just create this toolpath. So what we would do now is I'm going to go ahead and rename it back to star 1. Okay, and then we want to make sure we unselect all these and just select the one that we want to save. So we're going to hit save now, and it's just the one toolpath. We hit save, and we save it, and there's our toolpath. Now this is telling us that we have one or more operations that have a reduced feed rate. Now if I close the program right now and come back later and do another one, and I select that tool, that same tool, but I don't change that feed rate, it's going to remember the last feed rate I had. So this warning pops up to tell me, hey, I've got to reduce feed rate. If I meant to do it, great. If I didn't mean to do it, it's going to save you from, sending a job all the way out to the machine with a reduced feed rate when you didn't really want that. So we hit OK. So these are going to go in a layer called, we already have our layers up top, so we'll put those on our holes layer. Holes, and this will go in our outside layer. Good. All right, so now we're going to nest those. Let's check our start points are good. We're in the corner there. Circles, we don't care. Okay, back to select mode. Select it, nest it. We'll do 15. Now if here we want to change this back to either a 45 degree or a 90 degree step angle. Okay, nice simple nest, right? Probably could have hand placed them just as easy. But this will demonstrate the this merge toolpath feature very nicely. So we're going to hit OK. And we're going to come back over here to toolpaths. We'll use that same tool. Remember, we had our feed rate turned down. Okay, so we're actually doing the holes first, so that's good. When we go to do our outside, we just need to remember to turn that feed rate back up. So we'll leave it at, okay, we're just going to leave it there. So we're going to do a inside offset first on the holes, and our leads are going to be a straight line 90 at 0.15. Holes, select the holes. That's good. Hit calculate. Good deal. That looks good. Close. One more. This time we're going to take this speed, bump it back to 100. Our lead is going to be a straight line lead at 0 degrees. And we'll make that lead length the same. That's going to put a lead right in the corner right there. Use our selector. Select the outside. Outside, hit calculate. Okay, something got clipped because we forgot to change it to outside offset. There we go. That looks better. Now we close. Okay, so now if we were to output this, what's it going to look like? Well, find preview toolpath again. Preview toolpath. Right there. Let's reset the preview. If we were to cut this, it's going to cut all the holes, and then it'll cut all the outsides. So not exactly what we want. So what we're going to do is create a merge toolpath. We'll name it, say, base plate 1 or 2. Okay, so there's our merge toolpath now. So if we deselect these guys, we look at our merge toolpath, we have these holes going. You have your lead out right here, okay, on this, coming down to this hole, this hole, this hole, and then over here cutting the outside contour. So you can see very clearly here that where your start points are. So here's your 0, first hole, second hole, third hole, fourth hole, up to the outer contour. Okay, and then, you know, so on and so forth. So we're clearly cutting the holes and then the outer contour. We're cutting each part individually. Okay, so then once we have that created, we hit the Save Toolpath. We hit Save again. And again, it's telling us that we have a speed reduction applied, and that's good because we meant to do it. Now, on the next part, you may not intend to do it, and if you didn't, well, there's a good reminder that you can go back and fix it before you end up with a program on the machine that is going to cause a problem.